Hey there, this is Akshit Madan and welcome back to the day 4 of 30 days, 30 concepts of Flutter. And in the last part, that is day 3, we have studied about different types of button, that is a text button and an elevated button. So if you have not watched that part, please watch it and then we can proceed with the day 4. And if you like my videos, you can subscribe to my channel and you can also follow me on these social media links. Right, so without wasting more time, we can move on to our Visual Studio Code and we can start learning about our next topic, that is list view and the grid view. And we are also going to study about listview.builder and gridview.builder and what is the difference between both of them. Right, so let's go to VS Code. So here I am on my VS Code and the last part we have studied about these two buttons and their properties, right? So now I'm going to create one more file in this widgets folder and let's call it list underscore grid dot dart. And I am going to first of all import the material dot dart and let's also define a stateful widget this time. And in the stateful widget, I'm going to call it list grid. And let's define a simple scaffold over here. And in this scaffold, I'm going to define an app bar. And this time, let's see some properties of the app bar also, because we have to cover everything in these 30 videos. So let's say the app bar have a property called title that you already know. And this takes a text widget. Let's call it list and grid. Now this app bar is also having one more property that is background color. So let's see background color. Let's define this time colors dot red, and it is also having the elevation. Let's define the elevation as 8, and let me just save it. And in the main dot dart, we have to return list grid instead of this button widget. So I'll define list grid. Let's just save it, and you can see that my app bar is of red color. It is having the elevation also. What is the elevation first of all? So if I define elevation as 0, then the shadow below this app bar will be gone. It may not be visible to you, but when you will try it on your own PC, then you will be of course be able to see that, right? So background color we have seen, title we have seen, the elevation we have seen, and the other properties we will see in the further parts. We have the actions where we can define some icons over here that we will see it. But let's move on to the body, that is the list view first of all. So in the body, I'm going to define a simple list view. So let's define a simple list view. Now, in this list view, we can define children because a list is not going to have only one widget. As the name defines, we have the list of widgets. So I'm going to define children over here. Now, you may be thinking that what is the difference between a list view and a column? In the column also we can define some widgets, and in the list view also we are defining some widgets. Then what is the difference? I'm going to show you the difference very soon. And let's wrap this list view with a container, and let's just keep it like this, right? And in the list view children, I'm going to define a simple card. Now what is a card and what is the difference between a card and a container? Card automatically provides a few decorative things to your container, right? It provides the elevation, it provides a little shadow, we will see it, right? And in the card, I'm going to define a simple child, and the child is nothing but a list tile, right? And you can also define any widget, right? Any widget, but for the sake of simplicity, we will just define a simple list style, because this list style is having some properties called title and subtitle. So the title, I'm going to define a simple text widget, and it is going to be a name of a fruit. Let's keep it orange, right? And if I just save it, you will be able to see a simple card over here, and it is having a simple text widget, right? Now you can define one more property to this list style, that is a subtitle. It also takes a text, and let's define who ate this fruit. Let's say my friend Karan ate this fruit. So I'll name this subtitle as Karan. Now you can see a simple subtitle Karan is there. Now I can just copy this card and I can paste it any number of times. Let me just do it. And if I save it, you can see so many widgets are there. Let me just paste it 2 3 more times so that you can see the scrolling action. Let me just save it, and now you can see this list is scrollable. But if I define column instead of this list view, then you can see a very good error that the space is over. The height is not this much that you can put more widgets, right? So this is the difference between a list view and a column, that in the list view you can put infinite widgets, but in the column you have to take care of the constraints, right? Okay, so now you know the difference and the significance of the list view. Let's me just make it list view only. List view. Yes, let me just save it. And you can see what is the difference between a card and a container. Because in the place of the card, if I put a simple container, then you would not get this much beauty, right? You can see that different color is also gone and that simple shadowy thing is also gone, right? So let me just make it card only. Now in this text also you can give any styling properties. You can decorate it according to, you can also give some styling to this card. As you can see, we have the color, we have the elevation, we have the margin, right? You have the shape, you can give border radius to this, you all the properties that you give to a container you can give to this card also. Or if you are not able to do that, just wrap this card with a container and you will be able to decorate it according to you. Now the main motive is, as you can see, when the number of contents are increasing, number of widgets are increasing for this list view children, we have to write it again and again. But this should not be the case, right? Let's say you are fetching some data from your database, like your users data, and there are so many users, but you are not going to write them statically, right? You want it to be dynamic. And whenever a user deletes its account, delete his or her account, then it should also be removed from this list view. So for that thing we use a list view dot builder, right? So let me just remove all this stuff from here. Let me just cut it. And over here in this class, I'll define a simple list. So we use ListView.builder when we don't know the exact length of that list, right? When the length is increasing or decreasing and the length is so much bigger, right? That time we use a ListView.builder. So let me use a simple list, and this list is going to contain some string content, string widgets, and it will be called fruits. And I'll define a simple list. Let's keep it orange and apple, then a mango, then a banana, right? And let me just save it, put a semicolon. And now in this list view, we have to just remove this, and I'll make it list view dot builder. Now in this list view dot builder, we have two main parameters, that is item count, and this item count will be fruits dot length. So if I add few more fruits in this, then it is going to manage because we have write it fruits.length. And we have the second property called item builder. So this takes context and the index. And in this, we can define the widget, right? Which we want to keep it for every fruit. So let's just return a simple card, return a simple card, and which is having a child of list tile. And in this list tile we have a property called title. And what will be my title? My title will be fruits at index. And we have to wrap this thing with the text widget. So let me just do it. Text. And we have to put a semicolon over, not a semicolon, just a comma and semicolon over here. And when I just save it, you will be able to see the four list tiles. We don't have to write list tile again and again. You can see, you can write 100 fruits and it is going to show you 100 list tiles. Why? Because it is dynamic. It is fetching the data from this fruits list. Like this, you can also use it for the Firebase database or any kind of database, and you can work with your database, right? So this is the significance of ListView.builder, that you don't have to define list tiles again and again, right? So now we have not worked with the subtitle using ListView.builder. Now how you can do it? So for defining the subtitle, we have to define a map instead of this list. So we are going to work with a map. A map is nothing but a dictionary. If you have learned in Python or in any programming language what is a dictionary and what is a map, we know that they work with key value pairs, right? So in this map, I'm going to call this map as fruits person, right? And it is going to take a dictionary, so curly brackets, and the first key is going to be fruits. So fruits, and it is going to take a list of the fruits. Let me just copy the same list and we can paste it over here. Now the second key is going to be the names of the person who ate those fruits. So let's say the first person is Karan, then the second person is, let's say, my name, and let me take another name as Gaurav, and let me take the fourth one as Asif. And we can just define the semicolon over here. Now, how you can use this map, right? So in the title, my text is going to be fruits at index, sorry, fruits at fruits person, right? We have to use this. So let me just copy paste it. Fruits person at fruits. And the second subtitle will be text fruits person at names. So we are fetching the data. We are fetching the data. Just a second. Yeah, nice. Let me just save it. So what we are doing is, for the title, we are going to this fruits person map and we are fetching this list, that is fruits, right? And for the subtitle, what we are doing, we are going in this fruits person map and we are fetching this names list. But it is giving me an error. Why? Because we have to define at index, right? Because we can't give a list to this text. We have to give the index so that it fetches each and every fruit, each and every name as a string, and it should show me. So if I just save it, you can see that orange Karan, apple Akshit, mango Gaurav, and banana Asif, right? So this is how you can work with ListView.builders. Now in the list style, we have also one property called leading. And the leading, you can give a simple icon, and in the icon you can just give icons dot person. So my motive is to tell you that you can give so many parameters to this list style. If I just save it, you will be able to see this icons over here, right? So in the list style, we have also so many properties like this hover color. When I just hover over it, what should be the color? And it is also clickable, right? You can also click on this list style like this. So like this on tab. So whenever I click on this, it should just print me. It should print me, let's say, the name of this. So if I'll just copy this thing and paste it over here, it will not be a text widget now. Let me just save it and let me just open my console. And when I click on this mango, it is showing me mango. When I click on banana, it is showing me banana. I'm clicking on this orange, it is showing me orange, right? So this list style is also clickable. So this is how we work with list styles. We work with list view, we work with listview.builders. Now let's work with grid views. So I'll just comment this complete listview.builder code so that you get it on my GitHub repository. And now I'll define a grid view as a child. So in the child, I'll define a simple grid view. Now this grid view is also having a grid delegate parameter. So this grid delegate, we have to write sliver grid delegate with fixed cross axis count. With fixed cross axis count. That means, let me just wrap this. So view word wrap. Now what is the difference? What is the meaning of this fixed cross axis count? This means that how many numbers, how many grid tiles I'm having. I don't care. It should have fixed cross axis. Now this is the cross axis. This horizontal axis is the cross axis, and this, the vertical axis, is the main axis. So I want to keep my cross axis count. That means only fixed count of the grid tiles will be there in the horizontal direction, and in the multiple in the what we say main axis count, it is dynamic. So cross axis count, I want to keep it 2, right? And now I'll define children. Now in the children, let's define a simple that cards only. So I'll define card, then the card I'll define a child, and I'll define a simple uh, container, let's say. No, not a container. Let's define a simple text. And in the text, I'll define this fruits list. So first one, that is fruits. Okay, let's just define a static one. Let's define orange, right? If I just save it, you are able to see only one container, right? So only one card. Let me just wrap this text with a center so that text comes at the center of this card. Perfect. Now I can just copy this card again and again, and you will be able to see the significance of that sliver fixed cross axis count. So let me just do it again and again. I just save it. You can see, you can see that only two things are there, only two elements, only two widgets are there in the cross axis, right? And if I just increase one more card, it is not going to change my cross axis count. It will change my main axis count, right? As you can see, one more is added in the main axis, right? Perfect. Now you can just also add some more parameter. Let me just increase the cross axis count by 3, and if I just save it, you will be able to see 3 widgets in the cross axis, right? And the main axis is going to remain dynamic, right? Now the cross axis count, after this cross axis count, we are also having the what we say, the cross axis spacing, right? Now what is the cross axis spacing? The spacing between the widgets horizontally. So you can see this spacing. So if I just make it 20 and if I just save it, you can see that spacing has increased. Now I can also give it main axis spacing, and if I just give it 20, you will be able to see that main axis spacing has also increased. So this is the significance of these cross axis spacing and this main axis spacing, right? Perfect. Now you can also give it aspect ratio. So if I just give an aspect ratio, child aspect ratio, and if I just give it 2 by 3, then you will be able to see that the children of this grid view have changed their aspect ratio, right? So this 2 means the width and this 3 means the height. So 2 by 3, that means they will be not square, they will be rectangles, right? So this is the significance of this grid view. Everything is same like list view, but just we are having everything in the grid format. Now let's just see the gridview.builder also. So let me just comment this thing, and I'll define the child as gridview.builder, gridview.builder, and it will be having the grid delegate as the sliver, grid delegate with fixed cross axis count. So yes, and I'll keep the cross axis count as the 2, and in the item builder, so here also we are having the item builder. I'll define the context, I'll define the index, and in the index, sorry, I'll return a simple card only once. We have to define the card only once this time. I'll define a child, I'll define a center, I'll define a text, and the text, sorry, child text, and the text will be fruits at index. And if I just save it, what is the error? Now you can see that orange, apple, mango, banana are there as we were having in this list, orange, apple, mango, banana. But why we are getting this error? Because we have missed a very important that compulsory parameter, that was item count. So let me just give item count, and the item count will be fruits dot length, because it should know like till where it has to go, right? Now it is not giving me the error, right? You can just increase the cross axis count to 4, and everything will be there in only one grid tile, right? So this is how you have to work with gridview.builder, listview.builder, and everything, right? So I hope you like this video, and you can now explore everything, every parameter of this list tile, every parameter of this list view on pub.dev or any Flutter documentation, right? On the official documentation. And my motive was to give you just a simple idea what is list view and what is grid view. So I hope you like this video, and if you have any doubt, you can reach out to me on my Telegram channel, and you can also message me on Instagram, no worries. And so yeah, till the next content, keep coding, keep innovating, and thanks a lot.